All right. Let's take a look at managing our file system in Google Apps Script. Now, this is a new G Suite account, so we have no folders, no files, no projects. We're starting from scratch. So hopefully that will allow us to account for any issues for new users that have never set up any of these things before. All right. So first things first, let's create a new AppScript project. This is just letting us know that we now are able to write in the current JavaScript ES8 because AppScript now runs on the Chrome V8 engine. So if you write applications for Chrome in JavaScript, you should be right at home here now. Drive management demo. All right. So first things first, how do we even access our drive? I'm going to use this little script. Drive folders, maybe? I don't know. I have not done any file management work in a few months here, so I'm going to be playing a little catch up here as well. So this is the Drive API. I actually don't want that. I want the apps script. Here we go. Reference. So this will allow us, so here we're working in AppScript where this is for Google Cloud work, which is different. So we can access this by calling driveapp.getFolders, right? And then this will allow us to iterate through all of the folders that we have in our drive. One thing to recognize in Google Drive, if I recall correctly, is that when files have like more of a tagging structure than a nested hierarchy structure. And what do I mean when I say that? So if you have a file in a folder and you have it in another folder, actually, let's not even get into that. Basically, just what it means is you could have the same file in multiple folders is what I was going to get at, but let's not even bother with that right now. Let's first grab this and drop it over here and see what happens when we run this folder or run this function, right? So I'm going to change this to get folders, and let's see what happens when we run this script. I don't have any folders, so either we should get an error or an empty log. Let's run. Review permissions. We're going to trust ourselves. And Control Enter to view our logs. One of the downsides about the new V8 engine, I don't know why, but for whatever reason it takes a long time to retrieve the logs this way since the update, which is a real drag. It's the only thing that's really quite annoying about the update, but I guess it's worth it because it saves us so much time writing in ES6 versus ES5. Holy hell. Let's try that again. Alright, let's run it again. Maybe it didn't actually run because of holy hell. All right. Let's just log the folders. Ugh. Fuck this. we'll wait a second and let's read up while that's. So how does this work? When we call folders, it should get all of the folders in our drive, right? And then this while loop, which I don't like using while loops, but in this instance, it does work pretty well. We use this hasNext method, and it it's basically allowing us to iterate through the array while something exists. And then when we call next, that gets us the next folder item. Now, here we go. Finally logged folder iterator is what we're logging here, because we're just logging this object, which is the iterator for all of the folders that we have. So let's run this again. And Control Enter to view our logs. And apparently we have to wait 5 minutes every time we want to view our logs now. So what would we do once we've identified the folder that we have? We can get name here. We should be able to get ID, if I recall. Get name. Get ID. So here's the get ID, and this returns the folder ID that we're after, right? So one way to do this, all right, cool. So there's no folders that exist, right? So good. What if we want to create a folder? Let's write a function to do that. Create folder So here's our create folder function. Keep in mind this is under the folder class, right? So drive app folder class is where we're looking at for our reference. Sometimes that can be confusing where to go, because you can have the same function for different classes. Creates a folder in the folder, or in the current folder with the given name. So if we create this under just the drive app, that means it's going to create it in the main drive app folder, the parent folder for your entire drive. So let's do that. I'm going to close that. All right. So then we will say our folder equals drive app create folder, and we want to give it a name. We're gonna pass an argument through to do that, and then we will get the ID here. So after we've created the folder, I want to know its ID. Get ID, and let's log that ID. Hello, Adil. Let's see. So let's create just a tester function that we can call this create folder and any other function that we want to test in. So here we want to, we're going to call this folder, and we're going to call this test folder, right? And then here we're going to log something as well, and here I just want to log the folder object that we return. So we will create the folder with the given name. We're going to get the ID, we're going to log the ID, and finally we're going to return the folder that we created back to the test, and then log that object to see what it gives us. So let's run test. Review permissions, because now we're going to create stuff here. And here's that folder ID. And we didn't return a folder object for some reason, but here we should see our test folder with nothing in it. Now, what if we want to delete that folder? Remove file, so maybe remove folder. Removes the given folder from the current folder. This method does not delete the folder or its contents, but if a folder is removed from all of its parents, it cannot be seen in Drive except for searching for it using the all items. So what does that mean? Hey, Mohammed. Well, let's Removes a given folder from the current folder. This method does not delete the folder or its contents, but if a folder is removed from all of its parents, it cannot be seen. So this is what I was talking about earlier when I was saying that folders are really more of a tagging system in apps or in Google Drive. They're like a reference category more so than a traditional folder system that you would think of. So when you're accessing it in Google Apps script, you couldn't just delete a folder like this and reliably delete all the files. You would need to get the folder, all the files, then iterate over all the files, delete those files specifically, right? So just worth noting. All right, let's create a file. So what do we want to create here? Create file blob. So this is creating a map file. We're not interested in that. Here we go. Create file. We pass through the file name, the content of the file, and the meme type. So here we're creating an HTML file. Let's create a JSON file. Create file. And actually, let's do it like this. So the object we're going to pass through will contain some key values. The first one will be file name. The second will be the file, or let's just call it content. And type. Right. Get ID. And you can actually use console log instead of logger log, but I'm going to use logger log. because it does give you a little bit different response. All right, so here we're going to put this, and I think I'm going to put the object up here instead of passing it through for now, just so we don't have stuff junking up our test function. And here, let's create our object. So file name is going to be test file. And the content of that will be content. And here we're going to pass through some stringified JSON. So last name. That's fine for now. And meme type. So let's take a look at meme type. This should be, let's see, what do we have? .html. We might have to create this a little bit differently, but maybe not. We might be able to do it this way because JSON is JavaScript object notation. So we're going to try it, see if it works. There's another way to do this, but for now we're going to type. All right. So let's test this out. And if it worked, we should see an ID logged here, as well as we should see test file here with the, JSON file that we created. Cool, that worked. So why would you want to create a JSON file like this? Well, if you wanted to have a really slow database in Google Drive and you didn't want to use Google Sheets to do that, you could do it like this, right? So you could create JSON files like this and open them up and view them, and it'd probably be a pretty bad idea, but you could do it. I tested doing this last summer and decided against it, and do have actually a script that does this, and it was useful in a very specific instance where I was basically converting a ton of resumes into JSON files. So I was basically reading all these resumes and parsing the information and converting it to structured format. And in that instance, it was useful to do this, because then within that JSON file, I would have a reference back to the original resume within my drive that I could access from that JSON file. So it was handy in that respect. But you could probably do something, I don't know. It worked. But anyway, yeah, so here we go. Now we have access to that ID. Now, what if we wanted to what else do we want to do? Oh yeah, we want to be able to create this file within a specific folder too, right? So as of now, it's just in the parent, but we want to create it within that specific folder. So let's delete this. And let's delete this and create it within the folder itself. So, or within, can you create, I'm trying to remember this. You might have to create it in root folder and then move it. Let's take a look. Let's look it up real quick. Create file in folder. I've run into this before, but I don't remember how I solved it. So I have an app script that creates multiple files and moves into folders. Is there a way to place the file directly in a folder, or do I first have to then, yeah. Problem is with this, that if you open up Drive, you see the file first being placed in the root folder and then moved to my folder. It's a bit of a lag in execution, yeah. Create folder. Yeah. But that's doc list. So here we go. Get root folder, search folders, contains. Get root folder. Yeah, so you just basically have to create the file under the folder. So we can do that by getting the folder with the name we want, right? So we can say get folder by name, and so folder name if folder name target name and then return folder dot get ID. Or do I need to do that? Yeah, we're going to do it like that anyway, even if I don't need to. Get folder ID by name. So here, target folder name, our target folder ID, get folder by name. So now we have our ID. Now we can have our target folder. And drive app get folder by ID. And then here, then we should be able to say drive app target folder create file. We might have to say, wait, what? Line 24, what did I do? Oops. All right. And what was our folder name? Test folder. So create file, test folder, click save, run test. Cannot read property, create file of undefined. All right, yeah, I thought that was going to be the case. So we need to, well, first let's log this to see what's happening here. If we retrieve the folder. Test folder cannot read. Yeah, we got the folder back, okay. Why are we logging that ID though? Oops. Pretty sure I know what's going on, but it's good to check it out every time to make sure. Pretty sure I just have to say get root folder and then get the folder down inside of the root folder, but I just want to be certain that I know what's going on since it's been a little while. So that's weird. Folder iterator. Logging that twice, so that is the right thing there. All right. What was this? Get root folder. Here we go. I need to use this and pass through it like that. Okay. Yeah, like this stuff is weird. Now maybe this will work. Let's try it. Yep. Yeah, it worked. It's so weird. Like, I need to read up on why that's the case, but like if you declare that as a variable and then try to call that variable for whatever reason it's undefined. I don't know for the life of me why, but I've run into that before where like you have to chain it right in line here. So now we should see, right, the file should be in here, and it is. Perfect. So weird. But it works, so that's what we expected to happen. Now, what would happen if we try to create the same file with the same name? Let's see. We have two files with the same name. Now that could be confusing because they have different IDs, but it allows you to do that because these names are really pretty arbitrary. Let's delete it. But important to keep that in mind, that if you got stuff automated like this and you don't have controls in place to make sure that you're not creating the same file names and the same type in the same folder, you're probably going to have a bad time, right? So you probably want to create a function that checks to see what files are in the folder and make sure that you're not naming some file the same thing. So let's do that, right? I know that seems like overkill, but like I promise you, if you don't do that and you're doing this kind of automation, you are going to have a really fucking bad time if you don't have something like that accounting for it. So let's do that. Function file name exists in folder, right? And what do we want to pass through this function? File name and folder ID, I guess. So now we will say drive app. So here's our target folder that we're after. Right. We want to view the files. Files in folder. Get files. I'm pretty sure this is an iterator, but let's be sure. Oh, perfect. Gets a collection of all files that are children of the current folder and have that given name. Very good. And so here we can just say file name. All right, so before I do any of that, I'm going to run this, make sure that, like, go ahead and get this file created that we, right, test file. There we go. Now I want to okay, let's pull this function up here. And we're going to call this folder name. Target folder name. All right, and then down here we will run this. And that's our target folder name, and I believe the file name is test file, right? Test underscore file, right? So let's run this and see what happens. We should get an array of files that match. Cool. Folder and file iterator. Perfect. Now, what do we want to do with that file iterator? We want to collection. Let's look at this. So this is a true or false value. So then here I could say as next, and this should be true. Yeah, perfect. Now what will happen if we rename this file? Test file 1. So now it should be false. Oh wait, shit. No. Because I'm just getting all of the files. I didn't have a condition around the file name. Or did I? Oh yeah, no I did. Yeah. Should be false. Perfect. So this can then be our function to check and see if a file name that we're trying to create has a or already exists in that folder. Because if it does, we don't want to create it with the same file name, because then we won't be able to use getFileByName to target a specific file. We'll have to always iterate over it to make sure it's the file we actually wanted, and that's a drag. So let's return click save, and now we could say let's rename and now here we can throw a condition or write a condition that says yeah, we'll do it like this because I forgot that we're going to pass that object through it another way, and so we're just going to do it like this for now. So here, if that is true, one of the ways I'm sure that I create something unique is like, so if I'm worried about creating duplicate file names, here's a method that I use. I'm not sure this is going to be great for you, but it works for me. So what I do is I will say file name plus I'm just going to use an underscore. Nah, I'm going to use a space. And now I'm going to say new date get time, and that gets me the current timestamp right now. And if I always use this method, then I cannot possibly have a duplicate file name, right? So let's see this in action. Oops. I didn't turn that off and that on. Invalid argument, line 23. Oh, whoops, I forgot to give it the folder name. So file name and folder name. Let's try it again. And we should see, there we go, test file with the current timestamp essentially. Now, we may want some sort of tag to let ourselves know that it was some kind of duplicate. That's probably up to you because, you know, depends on what kind of files you're creating. It could be like you're creating file names with people that are based on an individual's name or something like that. And obviously you could have duplicates of people's names and that's fine, but you want to know some difference between them. And so this would be the difference would be the time in which it was created so that you know that's a unique file. It may not even be necessary. It's just something I've run into, so worth showing how to account for that sort of thing. What else do we want to do? Oh, maybe I want to read a JSON file, right, that I have in here. So, how would we do that? Function read file content. Now I'm going to say get JSON file, or get file as JSON. I don't know what arguments I want to have yet, but I do know that I want to get files by name. Right. And maybe I'm getting, maybe I want to get all the JSON files inside of a target folder. Get JSON files from folder as array. Folder name. And get files by type is what I want. Get files by, oh, that's file iterator. I want to be down here. By type. And here we go. So I'm after, it's a string. So should be something like this, but I don't remember. Yeah, application JSON. Okay. Get files by type. Type. So now while files in folder has next, let's just log. Get file. Get name. So let's test this. And run the test. Stop that. Target folder name is not defined. Oopsie. Forgot to change. Oh, let me do it up here since this seems to be the way I'm doing it. All right, and what do we do? Get folder by ID. Oh shit. That's not. It's logged, this boolean value. False. So there are no files with that type, which means I've done something wrong. So let's try it like this instead of pass. It said a string though, didn't it? I feel like it did. Yeah, it says string type. Oh, but I saved it as an actual JS file, not a fucking JSON file. Shit. Is that the issue? Probably. True. Okay, yeah, that was the issue. Well, that's a problem. But okay, at least we know. This next get files and folder, get name. Yeah. File iterator. I forgot to do this. All right, well, that's fine. We know. And one more time. Now we should have it. And we do. But our problem is the meme type, like the file type on the file or the thing that we created is a JavaScript, not JSON specifically, and so I'm not sure. Maybe, but I'm not sure that we're going to be able to retrieve it the way we want. But let's give it a try. So how do we get the contents out of a file? Get blob. gets the data as blob. And then get content as this might work, but again, it's going to be a problem because of our typing, but we'll try it out. Just to see. What the fuck? All right, let's try. Okay, it worked. Blob. All right, I've got some scripts here. I don't feel like reading through the documentation. I mean, it's probably worthwhile to see how much of a pain in the ass it is to find the documentation on this, but it took me so long to find it last year that I really don't feel like looking around for it. So I'm hoping that I have it. Where do I have that? What is it even called? What is this called? PNG maybe? Yes. Here we go. Here's some stuff. Shit, that's not what I wanted. Although so maybe I can get it as plain text. We'll see. That doesn't really solve the issue the way I want to solve it, but maybe. Yeah, not supported. Oh yeah, open by ID, document, app, get text. Okay. Get as. This is blob. Open by ID, and this is going to be file. Get ID, get text, content. I'm not sure that this will work. I might have to enable an API for the document app. Drive management, yeah. Invalid argument. 50. I guess I have to. It's not a document, is it? That's why. But we're going to try it one more time anyway, just to be certain. But I'm pretty sure I can't use this method. Yep. Let's try it like this. By D is not a function. Of course not. Fuck. Get data as string. Maybe that's it. Comment blob. Get data as string. Looks like this might work. It was something simple, and it did. So, cool. Now we have get data as string here. So we have our stringify JSON. We'll keep calling this content. And then JSON parse content. And let's push it. Into this container. And then log it once it's done. Oops. And save and run. Cool. So now we have an array of the files, well, all of the JSON files in that folder as objects, right? And so we could write through them like that. So let's say we had a bunch of you know, resumes or something, profiles that we had stored as JSON files in our drive. We could then iterate over them using this method, merge them together into one big file, and then access that file and you know, extract the information out of it that way, and basically use one big file as our whatever. The only problem I have with this right now is that I have this meme type of JavaScript, or file type as JavaScript, which is technically okay, but it's not good, because I think if I download this, it's going to be a well, let's just see. Yeah. It downloads as a file without really a proper type on it. So I don't know, I'm going to try to open it here with I'll just open it up in Vim and see what it gives me. So it does open it up as with the content in there, but we need something different here. So let's clean this up. And maybe we can do this. Like this. We're going to create a file called test file, and then we're going to change this to, let's see if it works like this. It should, maybe. I don't know. But we're about to see. Yeah, that downloaded as a proper JSON file. So yeah, that was all we had to do. Cool. Yeah, so the difference there was like we were using these methods like the property, but we can, and I knew this, I don't know why I didn't do that because I've run into this before, but you can just pass the proper meme type as a string without having to use these properties that Google has specifically assigned here, right? So like, these are limited, but you can use, in my experience, you can use any meme type. As I've certainly extended it far beyond this list. Yep. What else do we want to look at? Well, let's look at it like this. Get JSON files as, or from array as, or from folder as array. Let's run that again. Now we should only have, oh, whoopsie. There we go. Let's try that again. There we go. And we just have the one file because the others were not the files or the file names we wanted. One thing here. So the file name exists in folder thing. We're not checking the type. So that's something to note because you might have two files named the same thing, but different types. So something to account for that you might need to account for or think about. What else do we have going on here? I can get rid of this. We don't need that anymore. And this we would want to pull out, right? And then just pass this through as an argument. Right, so then under the create file, we would have this object that we're passing through like this. And you know, you might want to write like more extensible functions or something, like maybe, well, you'd also want to return this, I would imagine. Right. And you might want to do something like give it some object to define what to do here. So maybe, I mean, I think in this instance is pretty clear, but like maybe you want, I mean, this works. You could write different functions for different file types, or you could have an object argument pass through that told it, you know, what file type it is, and what you're going to do with that data. So maybe, maybe you're wanting to pull, I don't know, a bunch of text data, and in that case, you would pass through some different arguments here. But I think for this purpose, it's fine. I guess. So what if we had a bunch of resumes that we wanted to parse? I feel like I did a video on that last summer, or I did some code on it. I don't know if I actually recorded it. But yeah. Get JSON files from. What else might we want to do? So here's something. I recently spoke about how to use Google Apps, and specifically Google Sheets, as a database in conjunction with a Chrome extension. And you could use these methods to actually bypass the Google Sheets thing and a lot of the complications in that, actually. And instead of that, you have a folder that you keep, or just a file even, that you keep this information in and you write to. The downside to that is, so let's think through the process. So we'd have this folder, right? And we just call it our, we just call it our, collection of, we'll just call it our collection. And in this collection, it has a bunch of objects that are, let's say, their LinkedIn profile. It's LinkedIn profile information that we're storing. And we're sending information over to this file. And in order to do that, we'd have to read the file, look up to see if the record already exists. If it doesn't, we add it. If it does, we merge it, or merge the new information over, which would be fine, and then save it. However, if at the same time we had another request coming in, it wouldn't be able to, you might have some issues, or you almost certainly would have some issues, because like if two requests happen and one of them hasn't finished writing that update to the file, then I don't know under this scheme how you would do that, right? Like proper databases would account for this sort of thing. But you would have to write some custom functions to account for that, I feel like. And I don't even know what those would be in AppScript. So it'd be fine if it was only for your purposes. But if you were using it with a team, or if you were even using it yourself and just like doing things really quickly, it could be a problem. Almost certainly would be a problem. And maybe that's worth exploring to see how efficient it could be. Because the idea with doing it like this is that this is a free service, right? It's slow, but it is free, as long as, like, to a degree, right? I mean, I guess Firebase and all that stuff's free too, but this is a lot easier to work in as a new developer that doesn't have experience with those things. So I don't know. Anyway, it's really just for fun, and really this is more of an exercise in file management than it is specifically around trying to make your Google Drive a database. But let's think of some other things we could do. what if we want to delete a file? I mean, actually, that's pretty easy, right? Like, it's just a remove function here. Remove file. Wait. Set trashed. All right. Where is it here? Delete file by ID. Where do I have that? Here it is. So set trashed is the function. So we'll just move this over. There we go. This is the function. If you've got the file ID, you just pass it through this function, set as trashed, and boom, you're done. How do you clear your trash, though? I think that's good for today. I don't think anyone's watching live now, but if you are and you have a something you'd like to go over before I stop, I guess now would be the time. I brought this up, or I started to do this because a buddy of mine posted a link to this, and I honestly didn't feel like I don't even understand what the point is, like making a copy of, like why you need all this to make a copy of your drive. I mean, it's cool, don't get me wrong, to make it easy, but select a folder with Google Picker and paste here. Like, it's pretty easy to copy folders and files, and like, I mean, I guess if you're just trying to make a, oh, is this trying to back up your entire drive database? Is that what it is? Wait a minute. This is Google Drive web app hosted. Cursively copy all the contents and subfolders within Google Drive, as long as it's entirely to your own drive. Oh, yeah. I see. Yeah, but again, like, this is just, I don't understand what the point of that is. Because you can do this in the UI already. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something, but yeah. Anyway, my point was just like, you can write this just in Google Apps Script. You don't need to like mess with all this kind of installing some web app. Just, you know, write yourself a little script to get the folders you want and make a copy of them, or extract all the files and set them in your folder using these functions. You should be good. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to be done. At least with this. I might come back on in a little while and do some other stuff. I am curious about how well that would work. But anyway, I'm going to be done. I will I'll save this code to my, yeah, let's just go ahead and save it. Get up. Ah, shit. feel like I have an app script folder in here somewhere. Here we go. Ooh, boy, it's been a while since I've updated. Add file, create new file, file management. Demo scripts.js, I guess, or GS. Doesn't really matter, I guess. And yeah, I'll come back through later and add a link to the video for watching this.